To answer the question of how would I handle the pressure of making tough decisions, when I always keep a fresh pair of running shoes around for early morning or late night runs. I've had a couple after council meetings, to be honest. The thing that, before I ran for council, a member of the community pointed and said, formally on the council, and he said, you know what, don't do it, it's going to eat you up. And I probably spoke to him pretty well because I can be pretty hot-headed when I need to be too, or let things get worked up. And I thought about it, and what I thought of was, it all depends why I'm doing it. If I'm in it for myself, or even if I'm only in it for my own personal interest, whether it be my family or whatnot, then yes, pressure comes on, especially in the face of public backlash. If you have to make a decision that's not popular or not easy. But what I do is I remind myself that every time we get up in a council meeting, we look at the agenda and we go through and we're making decisions, and whether it's me doing the research beforehand or participating in debate at a meeting or speaking with residents, the number one thing that always comes to my mind is what is going to be in the best interest of the community. And that doesn't always lead to popular decisions, but I also look at it this way: I'm not in this to be popular. I'm in this to try to help the community for the benefit of my family, my children, my neighbors, and the people throughout the village, whether they're in one side or the other, old or young, whether they work somewhere else or work here. That's why all of us are in public service at whatever level, whether it's the village or the township or the county or the state or on. If you have your priorities in order, the pressure may not be pleasant, but you can get through it.
I'm fairly new on the council. I was appointed to replace Jesse Lambert when he moved down. So I'm new to some of the circumstances that are going on. I listen more than I talk, and I start with trusting my own instinct of what is the right decision. But I'm a financial counselor in my day job, so I don't simply trust on what I feel is right. I need to have numbers. I want to see the statistics, the data. I want to know, has it worked before? What is the long-term view for our community? And I want to be able to feel that I'm making a decision not just on what my instinct is telling me. I won't be so rigid in my thought, though, because I think it's very important for the council to present a united, consistently united, and optimistic view of the future for our community. So if I'm presented with information that's against what I want to do, I'll consider it, I'll think about it, and I could change my mind. I want to do what's best for the community. And once I feel like I've made a logical and common sense decision, I'm okay with it and I don't feel pressure.
Thank you. For those of you that have been to a council meeting, you probably already know the answer to this question for me. Because I've been the lone wolf many a time discussing things. I'm not afraid to stand up for what I believe in. I'm not afraid to be the lone wolf on that. When it comes to backlash, we've taken a lot of heat. This council, there's 4 of us up here that have already done this together. There are nights when we don't agree. I remember one night Bob also walked up to me and said, I hope we can still be friends. And I said, Bob, if you think you and I are going to have the same idea, the same opinion on everything, we wouldn't have a need for 7 council people. Compromise comes out of the differences. And I don't think there's anybody up here that will tell you that we haven't all compromised at one time or another. And when we're done, we're able to stand around after the meeting and joke around and talk about each other's families. We stop at one of these local eateries in town. It's not an issue. The decisions have to be made for what makes the most sense for the residents, what's fair, and make sure that we're spending these tax dollars the best way we can.
Oh, I get to answer this one too?
Yes.
Good.
I think this is a good question. I think this is a good question for all of you.
As I'm listening to the answers, I'm thinking about the difference between a council that is a local community and what happens at the state level. Any of you who have paid any attention to some of the pressures that come to bear on the people we've elected to represent us in the legislature are aware of the eminent pressure coming from the lobbyists and from the interest groups, and particularly the groups that makes large donations to our candidacy. In running this campaign, I have been very careful on whom I take money from. I was once a director of Common Cause, and I fought for campaign finance reform and also ethical government, and so I know that when I'm elected, I will not be pressure brought to bear on me by lobbyists that gave me money, because I haven't taken it. But that is something to be considered when you're serving in Lansing, and that is the inordinate pressure that will come on you because of favors people have done you, because of the money they have given you, because of the power and influence they have given you. So I will start off, number one, by knowing what I'm doing, and I won't depend upon a lobbyist to show me the way around. And number two, they can't get their way into my door because they've given me money.
In Lansing, I serve on 5 different committees, and the committees are a great opportunity to vet every bill. I also serve as Vice Chair of Criminal Justice, where I take pride in the fact I think we do the best vetting of any committee in Lansing. We scrutinize every thought and idea that comes forward. We want to make sure that if it gets passed, it's the best bill it can be. There's minimal, if any, unintended consequences, because way too often we have too many unintended consequences in the bills that get passed. By far, the vast majority of bills that are introduced in Lansing never make it out of the House or the Senate. And that's good, because not every bill is a good idea. So it's very important that we vet these bills thoroughly. I do that. If we have bills that come along that not one of my committees, I reach out to my colleagues on both sides of the aisle and hear the pros and cons. Look at the analysis, you do your research, and fully understand the bill. And as the Councilman Chris mentioned earlier, when you sit down with the public and you start talking about it, you have to make sure, first of all, they're on the same page. Many times they may be looking at a bill that was introduced 6 months ago, and since it has vastly changed. So that always helps with the communication of any bill. I think it's very important that we do vet every bill and make sure we understand it thoroughly and the impact not only of our state, but of our district.
No matter what level of government we serve, there's always pressure to vote a particular way. I've been in meetings before where the audience is packed with people screaming to get us to vote a certain way. And I know that it's contrary to what my beliefs are. But to vote your conscience is really not that tough. It's really based on what your beliefs are. If you believe in free enterprise, that's the way you're going to vote. If you believe in economic development, that's the way you're going to vote. If you believe in, helping education, that's the way you're going to vote. But it really depends on, the more principled you are, I believe, the easier it is to vote. If you don't have a principle, I've seen people vote, on the same issue depending on who's screaming about it, but they vote on both sides of the issue. You have to know what your beliefs are, and it's really not that tough, I don't think.
I'll go back to my Boy Scouts. Like I said, I'm the Vice President of the Boy Scouts. And talking about an emotional group. I'm a clinical behavioral psychologist that happens to own an appliance store that's been in my family for over 100 years. Ever work with family? Don't do it. It's tough. So, compromise. When I was the exalted ruler, past president of the Elks Lodge, golf course up in Grand Blanc, one of our mottos is the golden rule: do unto others as they should do unto us. If one side has a good idea and another side has a good idea, combine them, compromise. We all know there's bad taxes and bad laws right now. And we all know that if we work together, we can change it. But not when everyone's so headstrong this way, headstrong this way. I tease all the time that I'm the world's most conservative Democrat. And I am, because I have my own personal beliefs, but we have to represent what's best for our constituents.
The question is intended to inquire as to how we as elected officials make our judgments, make our decisions. I inform my judgment by the fact that I've lived in this community for my entire life. People of Genesee County and now Oakland County have entrusted me with their vote and with my representation of it at the county level, at the state level, the House and the Senate. I, as an elected official, owe you my best judgment on an issue. You count on the fact that as a state senator, I'm there with knowledge of the issues and making decisions every single day, voting every single day on issues that come before the legislature. It's my job to inform my judgment by keeping in touch with you as constituents. Even my colleagues on the other side of the aisle have acknowledged the fact that over the last 25 years I've worn out a lot of shoe leather in this district. I have a tradition or a reputation for being a hard door-to-door campaigner. Maybe I've met many of you on the doorsteps because I have knocked on doors here in the Holly area, and over not just at election time, but throughout my term in office. Again, I do that as well. And the fact of the matter is that it's a combination of keeping your ear very, very close to the ground in terms of your constituents' interests and needs, and also informing them with your best judgment on the issues of the day. That's how I arrive at the decisions I do.
Mr. Robinson, I'll let you hold on to that microphone for a second. Next question is, how do you plan to address the disparity of school funding to provide equal opportunity for students throughout the state? I can tell you that with this village having a charter school amongst it, that is something we hear about quite frequently. So.
Again, my experience informs my judgment on this issue as well. The fact of the matter is that public education is always the highest of priorities in state government. Regardless of who controls the legislature, regardless of who's governor, it's always the highest budget priority. And the fact of the matter is that we're spending more money this year on public education than we did last year. We spent more money last year than we did the year before that. And the only certainty that there is about next year's budget, before we even write it, is that there will be more money spent next year than there is this year. That's the way it has always been. That's the way it will always be. Because nothing is more of a higher priority to the people of the state of Michigan and the education of their children. With regard to the Holly community, I've supported an increase in the foundation allowance of $175, an increase in the foundation allowance this year alone to address greater educational need. Within the last 2 years, obviously, we've supported additional funding for early childhood education at the governor's request, and that received bipartisan support in the legislature. So education was years ago, has always been the highest of priorities. It will continue to be, and will continue to be a priority of mine. Thank you.